Welcome back to Variety with John and Anna. I'm John Cancio. That was a clip from my TV show True Talk. Next up on the show, we have Stacy LaCombre Kraft. She is a special events coordinator who does weddings, and she also holds a BA in event design and production. Is that correct?
That's right.
A BA. So you actually went to school and you got this degree.
I did, yes.
To do this. And how long did that take?
That took me 2 years. I did 2 years at Fulton Montgomery Community College for Fine Arts. And when I decided that I wanted to do weddings on the side, I decided that I needed to have some business experience. So I went to Empire State College and did 2 more years and finished off the degree.
So this is what you do. You plan events.
I do, yes. I plan events full-time for a hospital. Do fundraisers and other smaller events, and I decided a couple of years ago to start doing weddings on the side for sort of a weekend job.
Okay, so you're a wedding coordinator, and I wanted to clear something up, as I mentioned to you earlier. I thought, I would think that a wedding coordinator and a wedding planner are the same thing, because coordinating and planning seem to me to be the same thing, but you were telling me there's a difference between wedding coordinator and a wedding planner. So tell me, what's the difference?
Well, and I think that's a common misconception, actually. A planner is really involved from the very beginning. So when a couple gets engaged and they decide they want to have their wedding on whatever day, maybe a year or 2 years from now, they can find a planner who will help them make decisions along the way. So a planner would help them make decisions about what kind of DJ or band to get, where to have the wedding, reception, and ceremony. Maybe even something, as complicated as the color of the dresses and that kind of thing for the bridesmaids. But a coordinator, which is what I do, I sort of come in towards the end. And what I do is, in this area there are a lot of brides who really just want to plan their own wedding. But towards the end they realize that they're going to need some more hands-on assistance for the day of the wedding. So what I do is sometimes they hire me up to a year in advance, and I will keep in touch with them for that year through email or phone calls, or we'll get together for coffee, make sure they're on track. But I don't help them with any of the big decisions. What I do is I come in at the end, and a few weeks before the wedding, I call the vendors that they've selected, introduce myself as their coordinator, and so the bride and groom aren't dealing with questions like where should I drop off the flowers and what time do you need this delivered. All those things can be funneled through me, and I'm really there for the hands-on work that week, and I help coordinate the rehearsal and the day of the wedding itself.
And you take off some of that stress.
Definitely.
That they would have. And you say it can take 2 years sometimes planning a wedding?
The planning can take a while. It depends on how big the wedding's going to be, how much time the couple needs to save up money if they need to pay for anything themselves. So it can take a couple of years, yeah. Wow.
So what's your specific role in a wedding?
My specific role varies depending on the couple. I've had some brides who call me and say, I really just want you to keep my mother out of my hair. I don't want my mom to be involved at all. And so my job is to make sure that the mom is occupied and has stuff to do and feels like she's being part of it without really being in the way.
Wow.
So it really depends. But
so your task can vary from
varies.
Situation to situation.
Yes. There are some things that are pretty much common throughout. Things like, again, organizing the deliveries and scheduling times for the vendors to show up, things like that.
So do you think a coordinator is more detail-oriented than a planner would be? Because they take care more, I would say, some of the little stuff.
Yeah, I would say attention to detail is the #1 priority. And really what my role is to come in and make sure that everything goes according to the plans of the bride and groom, because the last thing they want is all their year, 2 years of hard work to just sort of go the wrong way, because what happens is that, a bride and groom are getting ready the day of the wedding. I mean, they have to get dressed, they have family coming from out of town.
There's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot going on, and so most brides and grooms find that they can't be in 2 places at once, and they need to have someone else there to manage some of the details.
Isn't it crazy though how we spend all this time on an event, and I mean it's any event, not just this, and it's one day.
It is. It's sort of, it's sort of a roller coaster usually, and I know it's a high for me. I mean, really, I love it. It makes me feel so excited and happy to be a part of somebody's wedding day.
So how did you become interested? This is personal, but you're not married, right?
No, not yet.
So how did you become interested in weddings?
I started doing the fundraisers for a local nonprofit, and I've always sort of been interested in party planning and event planning, but I didn't really realize until a few years ago that I could make a career out of it. And so I think the fundraisers were a lot of fun, and it's hard not to get excited with all the wedding shows, Say Yes to the Dress and all that stuff on TV. It's hard not to get excited about it, but I realized that it's something that I could do on the weekends for extra money. It was something that I could do sort of on my own schedule. If I decide I want to take a summer off, then I don't have to do it. So it's really something that I have a lot of control over, and but at the same time, it allows me to develop, I think, as an artist. I like to think of myself as an event artist, and someday.
So this is art to you when you.
Oh, definitely.
And I understand that Stacy did 4 weddings last year, so you're getting into it, and you got 2 more coming up. That's pretty exciting.
I did 4 in one summer, which was exciting.
4 in one summer. That's a lot of work, wasn't it?
It was. I had one in June, July, August, and September.
So were you balancing all this at once?
I was, yeah, and I had just decided to start the business in the spring, and my first booking was in June of 2009. And I had this bride and groom they were so wonderful, and they took a chance on me, and I told them right off the bat that I was just getting started and that I would do my very best, and I had some event experience, but they took a chance on me, and I am so grateful. How did it work out? It was wonderful. It was a beautiful wedding. It was really beautiful.
And we have some pictures. I don't know from which of the weddings they are from. Are these from all the weddings? Or?
Yeah, these are all 4 of the weddings
All 4
I've
of the weddings.
Done.
We'll take a look at some of those pictures. And what exactly are we seeing in these pictures?
These are pictures that came back from the photographers,
okay.
Who were all nice enough to let me use the pictures, and so were the couples. They all said, go ahead and use them for the show, which I really appreciated.
And was there a difference between, I mean, I would imagine there's a difference between all 4 weddings.
Definitely.
But did you learn things that you wouldn't do again, basically?
I think so. I mean, little things. It helped that I had some event experience ahead of time. So I did kind of know what to expect as far as the coordination. But there were little things that I learned that you really need to bring envelopes with you, which is sort of a strange thing.
Really?
But the first wedding I did, in fact, that's the first couple I worked with, Kaya and David.
Okay.
And they were wonderful. And I did have a lot of fun working on their wedding. They were wonderful. And that's Gabby and Uday, and they had a Hindu wedding, which was
a Hindu wedding. So
it was beautiful.
Really?
Yeah.
So where was that?
That was the Albany Hindu Temple.
Okay.
And then they had their reception at Revolution Hall, which was really exciting.
Wow. Good food?
Oh yeah, very good food. In fact, it was all vegetarian food, and it was delicious. Yeah, it was wonderful.
And where's this right here?
This is Emma Willard. That's where Kaya and David got married.
Okay.
And again, that was just a gorgeous wedding. It was really beautiful. And all the couples I've worked with, I think I've been very lucky so far. All of the couples they just have this flair that they put into their wedding. They really put their personalities and their heart and their soul into it.
And there are the fellas, and we just saw before that, we saw the Just Married bus.
Yeah, that was the Just Married bus in front of Revolution Hall.
That's cool. Which
was great, and it's a really great idea if you have guests that are going to be drinking, if you're having an open bar, having some transportation for them.
Oh, that's pretty.
That's Lee and Amy, so that's at the Mohawk River Country Club.
Did you have a good time at each of these weddings?
I did. I had such a great experience at all 4 of them.
Really?
And, people are always joking about bridezillas, but I've never had one.
Never had a bridezilla?
Knock on wood.
They've all been pretty cooperative?
They've been great, yeah.
That's
really
good.
Great.
Okay, so if somebody wants to, get married, where do they start? I mean, you say it could be like a 2-year process, so
yes.
Where do I start?
Well, the first thing I would say is to have the bride and groom make a list of 5 or 10 things that they each want incorporated into their wedding day. So if you do this separately, you know, you go off on your own and you spend some time thinking about it and say, okay, these are the 5 things I really, really want to have as part of my wedding. Whether it's the band or the colors of the dresses or the kind of food or the location or the time of year, the 5 things that are the most important to you. And then go back together and compare your lists, see what's the same, and see if you can, because I think right off the bat you have to learn to compromise with each other.
So bride and groom each do their own thing and then merge and see and compare notes.
Absolutely. And then you know from right off the bat that both are going to be participating, and you can start the compromise process, because every step of the way will be a compromise.
Okay. And I know we're taking a look at a lot of photographs here. So is this another?
That's Lee and Amy again. That was a dessert station, which was a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, we don't have a lot of time, so I do want to ask you a couple more things. Perfect location to have your wedding.
Okay, so
in your opinion.
I think that's really hard to answer, because if you don't know the couple, I mean, it depends on the couple.
Person.
I would say.
But what would be a suggestion?
My suggestion would be, and this is my own personal preference, I like to specialize in non-traditional weddings. So the fact that one wedding was at the Revolution Hall, I thought was amazing. It was,
so you like to have it have its own unique touch to it, not just a typical wedding.
A ballroom in a hotel is lovely, and you can really do a lot to transform a ballroom. But if you can do it somewhere else, I think it's more memorable for a guest if it's somewhere
personalize
different.
It, put your own touch.
You can have it on a boat. There are plenty of boats in this area that do weddings, and a museum. I mean, there are a lot of possibilities. So I say think outside the box.
Think outside the box and look at your options. And what time of the year would be a great time to have a wedding? I know most people have their weddings during the summer. So when would be a good time? Do you think summer is the best?
I don't think there's a best time of year. Personally, I think the fall is really nice. I think fall is the new summer. I think a lot of brides are going in that direction. Okay. Summer's great, but you know, no matter what time of year you have it, you're gonna have to worry about weather, even if it's in the winter. So I don't know. I've personally always wanted to have a winter wedding. So I don't know.
A winter wedding?
Yeah, I have a wedding coming up in March, which I think is another nice time of year, because you don't have a lot going on. So if you have it at a different time of year than the summer, you probably are going to ensure that most of your guests will be able to make it. If you do it in the summer, you may have a conflict with other weddings going on. And
that's true, because there's more competition, so to speak.
Yeah.
So what do you think about writing your own vows? Do you think that's a good idea?
I think it's a great idea. Again, anything you can do to think outside the box, you know, whether it's reading some poetry or, you know, if it comes from the heart, it's just, it's really meaningful. The guests will remember it. I'm all about doing anything you can to make it really memorable for everybody.
And personalizing it
Definitely.
And making it unique. Okay.
Yeah.
Lastly, I just want to say, to stay organized, to eliminate the stress, let's quickly I got these off your website, so let's go. Okay, draw pictures.
Yes, draw pictures. For a coordinator especially, it's very helpful to have a picture of what your table layout's going to look like. You can do it on the computer if you are good with that kind of thing. But I think, you know, draw a picture of what you want it to look like, how you envision it, and then if you do hire a planner or a coordinator, you can say, look, this is what I was envisioning, can you, you know, and you can kind of stay on track that way.
2, make lists.
I am a big fan of making lists.
Lists are good.
Absolutely. And, you know, and just every couple of weeks, you know, throw out the list, do a new one, you know, because you're going to cross things off, and again, you won't forget the details. Just write everything down. Okay.
Quickly, create schedules.
Again, just create a timeline. You know, work backwards. The wedding date is, you know, December 12th. Such. So just work backwards from there. What needs to be done before that?
And lastly, hire a coordinator.
Well, yeah, definitely.
I thought she might say that. Well, thank you, Stacy. I want to mention your website one last time. It's planetstacy.com. So she has a great blog. She gives a lot of suggestions on where to start and what to do with weddings. You're a great guest. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me.
Nice seeing you again. And we'll go to another clip of True Talk, and Anna will be back with some guests. We'll be right back.
Thank you very much for being here, Jean.
Thank you very much. It's
Very
great
nice
to be
have you here.
And it's a special occasion, so it's all the more special
Yeah,
to be
it's a
here.
one-year celebration.
Very nice.
And how
Happy
long
birthday.
have you been on OTB? Thank you.
I have been on OTB almost 9 years.
Wow.